I'm still a kinsman because I come through the blood of his first cousin.
Unfortunately, I'm an internet person. Out of all the social media platforms that exist, there's only one my old ass spends any amount of time on: Instagram. While it's definitely one of the most artificial since everything is super curated, it's also the least chaotic due to its streamlined structure. Despite that, I still haven't been able to avoid the prince of pan-afrikanism, the patron saint of black memes, and literal school psychologist, Dr. Umar Johnson.
I love all black people. All black people. Sexually confused, whatever your situation is, I love black people.
For those who don't know the name and haven't seen his face, Dr. Umar is a mainstay of black Twitter and every other social media platform. Besides the fact that he's on those platforms himself, memes featuring his more controversial views and video clips are super popular too. He's a mix between a legitimately educated middle-aged man and what black people refer to as a hotep, with a bass-heavy voice and very clear diction that lends itself well to public speaking. That sounds familiar, minus the hotep part.
King kongalicious. The queens, to the queens, I'm King kongalicious.
Why are we talking about him at all? That answer lies in his impact on those of us with the least resources and education. He's got people packed into random stores off his social media hype alone.
If you have a grandmother, a grandfather, somebody that was a strong warrior, a strong spirit, and you want to...
Let's dive deep into his background, his ideology, the falsehoods he spreads under the guise of black empowerment, this fake polygamous wedding, and the six-figure fundraising scheme masquerading as a construction project for his school for black boys. Play those last 4 words again.
School for black boys.
I hate that we have to cover this man, but it needed to happen.
We reject the notion that we came from Romans.
With the pater, you know who you are. I will call your names out.
Hit the cash app, $ fdmg school. Hit the cash app. Mariah Carey poster was on my wall.
Facts.
When y'all got, I said, how did Nick get Mariah?
That's what everybody said.
Let me set the record straight out the gate. First, there's no way we can address everything this man has ever said. It would take hours. We're focusing on the most crucial aspects of his public persona. 2, there's things about Dr. Umar that I will criticize, and things I won't. We can fall victim to not knowing where to draw that line on commentary channels sometimes, reaching too far into personal attacks in an effort to stay popping on social media. All right, last ground rule, we'll be calling him Dr. Umar or Johnson moving forward, since he still has those handles attached to his official social media pages. This is confusing, don't at me. Before I dive into what our research dug up, let's see what the man has to say for himself. I'm trying my best to be fair about this, but if I see something suspect, I'll call it out on the spot. Johnson calls himself a paternal kinsman to the great abolitionist Frederick Douglass.
Never claimed to be a descendant of Frederick Douglass, and nor do I have to be. I'm a descendant of Frederick Douglass's first cousin, a gentleman by the name of Stephen Henry Bailey.
The internet is a beautiful thing. I hate to do this to you, my guy, but I found this video of you early on in your career promoting a speaking engagement in New York. And in this video, you claim you're Douglass's grandnephew. So are you descended from his first cousin, or are you his grandnephew? Both of those can't be true.
Even when there's a pro and a con, they're both conning us.
Yes.
Douglass's family has very clearly shut this down. And even though Johnson has claimed he wasn't saying he was descended from Douglass, what the hell does he think paternal kinsman means?
I am a blood relative of Frederick Douglass. We have a family reunion every 2 years. I have more videos on YouTube than any other scholar. I speak around the world more than any other scholar. Show me where I've ever said I was a descendant. I've only claimed one thing, kinsman.
The delete button would fix this really quickly, I promise. Strike one. I didn't know who Bishop Wayman is, but after some basic research, it's not really possible to disprove that one. He leads a college tour called Unapologetically African for 11 through 17-year-old black children. Calls himself the Prince of Pan-Afrikanism, as I mentioned before, in third person. Strike two. Anybody calling themselves a prince of anything in the third person is a walking red flag. That's cult leaders. He says he holds free educational and mental health consultations for 2 hours on Tuesday mornings. Meanwhile, he's talking nonstop about charging per child on his Twitter. Free work is free work, though. We'll leave that one alone for now. The bio goes on to brag about how many rappers have mentioned him and how many paintings he's inspired. More occult leaders. Enlarging your persona through unprovable claims, comparing yourself to other scholars, is wild for an official bio. Strike three. He claims his book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, The Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Boys, is the first book written by an African-American male school psychologist to black parents with specific strategies on how to fight back against special education and ADHD misdiagnoses. Yeah, we're gonna come back to that one. I have not read the book, so I have no verdict, but his opinions on these misdiagnoses are questionable, to put it very gently. It's not all bad though. There's a couple of things I was glad to see here. He says he's the founder and president of the National Independent Black Parent Association, or NIBPA, organized to fight against educational and academic racism. Dope. I'm also all for the intention behind the National Independent Black Ex-Offender Association, or NIBIA, which he dubbed the New Underground Railroad. The goal with this group is to advocate for rights on behalf of previously incarcerated Black women, men, and children. Again, dope. Prisoners are subject to legalized slavery in America thanks to the 13th Amendment. So this seems like a step in the right direction if he can get it off the ground. We're not here to on people's genuinely beneficial ideas. The bio wraps up with a mention of his Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey School for African Boys, which we'll absolutely cover later. That was a lot already, and we haven't even made it off the About Me page yet. This is where our research steps in.
If money buy your love, then love's not enough. So tell me why you on your knees crying.
This man has changed his name twice. Allegedly. Jermaine Shoemake from North Philly switched it up and became Umar Rashad bin Abdullah Johnson, then most recently updated his name to Umar Ifatunde.
Ifatunde Ogun Tade.
Apologies, Ifatunde Aguntade.
Because I'm destined to be a priest and I'm a son of Ogun.
He claims Ifatunde came from his 2020 visit to an African village called Oyutunji, where he claims that he got blessed by a chief named Olatan. I didn't mention which African country this village is located in for a reason. It's not in Africa at all. It's in South Carolina, Seabrook to be specific. Apparently it has great reviews. I learn something new every time I do one of these. On top of being a crown priest of an African-American village, Dr. Johnson is, in fact, a doctor. National Student Clearinghouse confirms that he graduated from Millersville University with a bachelor's. He then received his MBA and doctorate degrees from the Philadelphia School of Osteopathic Medicine in 2009 and 2012, respectively. Naomi dug up the transcript thanks to columnist Michael Harriot, who accused Johnson of being a charlatan in one article on The Root, then printed a retraction a week later when he got the documentation himself. So, we can put that question to rest. Since we know that at least one part of his identity holds up, we should take a closer look into what it takes to become a PsyD, not PhD, in clinical psychology, so we have something to reference. By all accounts, that is tough. According to psychology.org, the clinical psych degree program is hard work that requires years of research, time spent as an understudy of a licensed psychologist, and a large financial investment. I got student loans, they got student loans. Let us know what your student loan balance is looking like in the comments. It's a party. Northwestern University's psychology site agrees. It's tough just getting accepted into these schools in the first place. They claim there could be as many as 300 applications for 8 positions, and 10 to 15 need to be accepted for those 8 spots, since they might dip out to another school or pursue something else. Your GPA and score on the GRE, the Graduate Record Examination, need to be competitive. And even better than competitive, if you want a really good chance of acceptance. Back to the doctor. We've established that his name is up for debate, but his medical credentials are at least partially earned. There's no way for us to verify whether he completed his required licensure as a psychologist. Yes, there is. This extremely helpful 2018 article in HuffPost by Dwayne Wong features a document submitted by a close associate of Johnson's, Ann McMillian. How do I know they're close? She's tagged on his Facebook posts and is in this video touring his school, which we'll definitely be coming back to. The document she sent to the Philadelphia State Board of Education provides detailed answers ahead of his trial for misrepresenting himself as a licensed psychologist. There's a lot of legal code and specific details here, and I'll be providing a link in the description. The short version is that Dr. Umar never claimed to be licensed in the states he operates in and has the legal right to call himself a school psychologist, since he was exempted from needing a license by the Philadelphia Board of Psychology Licensure Office. He also has a bunch of certifications that clear him against those charges, according to McMillian. In Dr. Umar's own words, I've been ordered to stand trial in Harrisburg, PA, before the Board of Psychology to be stripped of my school psychology credentials as a result of constant complaints from some members of my race pleading to the white man via phone and mail to bring an end to my profession. On IG, he said this: the same questions over and over again on every radio show, countless social network jokes, and campaigns to diminish the credibility of the one man Black parents can count on to assist for free with saving their children from the mental health and miseducation systems. This is the thanks I get for helping to save a generation of Black boys. We mentioned earlier that he offers free counseling for 2 hours a week, while charging every parent the rest of the week. So I'm not sure that's the hill he wants to stand on. Free work is always a good thing, but most of his behavior is intensely profit-seeking. With all the call-outs about coons running to snitch on him to white people, this is probably a great time to talk about his racial philosophy.
Sensational.
Johnson calls himself the Prince of Pan-Afrikanism with a K. Let me define it before explaining that unusual spelling. Hold tight. Britannica holds us down with a solid definition. In its narrowest political manifestation, Pan-Africanists envision a unified African nation where all people of the African diaspora can live. It's a sentiment that people of African descent have a great deal in common, a fact that deserves notice and even celebration. My guy stopped by the Yada the Mean Godcast, fantastic name, hosted by Lord Jamar, another controversial Black intellectual and rapper Rod Digger in 2021 to break it down further.
I always say I was a Pan-Africanist before I knew what Pan-Africanism was, because the red, black, and green flag just always naturally vibrated with me.
Put a pin in that. Let's keep going.
Nothing supersedes your racial family identity.
This is his first principle of Pan-Africanism. Let's say, for sake of example, I identify as a superhero. In this interpretation, I would never be a superhero who identifies as part of the African family. I'd be African first and a superhero after. He says there's 4 principles, with Garveyism being the highest. He doesn't elaborate on the rest of them here. He goes on to explain what I see as the origin of his tirades against the white man, using archaeological artifacts as a basis for why Africans were the first people on Earth, thereby making them superior.
Because anything sounds good when it's in theory. Anything sounds good when it's in philosophy. There is no artifact of a man or woman, modern man or woman, that is older than any of the artifacts found on the mother continent.
He went on to say Pan-Africanists don't follow European science to come to their conclusions. They follow African scientists. His final claim was that African scientists, such as Dr. Johann Haile Selassie, discovered human remains older than the world's most famous human ancestor, Lucy. She got a whole movie. I dug into that one myself, and not only is that a real Ethiopian paleoanthropologist, he did discover a 3.8 million year old cranium in February of 2016. At least part of his African artifacts argument seems to check out. As far as we currently know, the oldest humans were from Africa. Let's circle back to the K in Africa. This article in North Carolina State University's African-American student newspaper, The Nubian Message, helps shed some light on that. According to staff writer Terry Moore, most traditional languages on the African continent don't use a K the way we do, and Europeans polluted our languages. More specifically, she claims no languages in Europe outside of Dutch and German use the hard C sound, and that the use of a K unifies their people after being dispersed across the world. Verifying that is a stretch, but at least we know that it's more than a stylistic choice on Dr. Umar's part. He sees himself as helping to unify our ignorant asses, spelling Africa with a C. Just for the record, we're establishing a pattern here. He changed his name based on an African village in South Carolina and spells Africa with a K based on a language he doesn't speak from a continent he was not born on. Y'all still following? We're only like halfway through. Stay hydrated. We're gonna take a history break for a second to talk about his philosophy of African unity and try to reconcile it with how he frames the white man. He mentioned Garveyism earlier, and we need to establish who Garvey was to better understand how Johnson's mind works.
I unequivocally rejected the racist assumption of much white American Christianity, namely that God had created the black man inferior and that he had intended Negroes to be a servant class.
Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican black nationalist who was charismatic as hell and sparked the first black nationalist movement in America. Harlem, New York, to be specific. To make a very long story short, Garvey founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association and couldn't get enough traction in Jamaica, so he bounced to Harlem and took over. By 1919, my dog claimed 200K members, and at one point in 1920, he spoke at an event with 25 international delegates, then ended that joint by marching 50,000 people down the streets. So far, this sounds fantastically disruptive, but there was a more controversial side to Garvey's movement. He advocated for racial purity and separatism, to the point where he met with the Ku Klux Klan. Y'all trying to send us back to Africa? I'm trying to build a new Africa. We good. He rubbed the NAACP and W.E.B. Du Bois the wrong way when he basically called them soft for trying to assimilate with white people. Then announced the founding of the Empire of Africa, with himself residing as provisional president. Garvey got indicted in 1923 for fraud and mishandling funds to build a black steamship, then got pardoned and deported by President Calvin Coolidge.
My mother bought all of my sneakers for school and for play right next door to the UNIA.
I think we all need a break from the clips at this point. Hopefully y'all saw why I needed to show those. Look, the man is a black nationalist. The labels might shift, but the intent remains the same. He mirrors Marcus Garvey's philosophy at every turn and in every interview. Nationalist beliefs are not for me to criticize. It's a free country. His intentions for the next generation of children and some of his claims about underrepresented groups, though, that's fair game. We had to cover his fake ties to Frederick Douglass and his worship of Marcus Garvey before the school. And hopefully, it's obvious why we did that. Both of these men's names have been slapped together to represent a school that's been in progress since 2014. It kicked off when Dr. Umar approached the board at St. Paul's College in Virginia to reopen the school after the HBCU closed in 2013. Money talks for school boards, so they gave him a couple months to put up $5 million. He wasn't able to swing it, and that effort fell through. Raising money is hard, no matter what it's for. We're not mocking Johnson for not getting that money raised in time, or for his broad ambition to open a school. The criticism I have for him personally comes down to the lack of transparency with regard to use of the funds he's raised since then. In 2015, he raised $125K via PayPal and got it frozen since he wasn't registered as a 501c3 nonprofit. Then reportedly stacked $400K via GoFundMe. That campaign was suspended, so those funds were almost definitely returned to donors in full. He's told people that he got his nonprofit registration handled, but we haven't found anything to back that up yet. He's claimed that he's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. His official site gives us this gem laying out the donation tiers, very reminiscent of every scam we've seen before, all the way down to the names of the levels and the lack of transparency. Why is it always precious metals? What does all donations will be honored mean? How much money has this brought in, fam? I'm well aware that it takes a hell of a lot of resources and funding to get a school open. And since he's posted an official opening date of September 3rd, 2024, I'm not jumping to a final conclusion about this just yet.
This is back around 2005. So it should be a no-brainer for you all to conceptualize, to understand, understand, and overstand why Dr. Umar Johnson made the obvious leap. A principal can prevent problems. A therapist comes in after to reverse problems.
Y'all let me know what y'all think. One by one, quick little testimonial.
I have no words to say. My heart is really full.
That's wonderful vibration, great energy. Such ancestral presence, definitely.
Also very proud. Second time, so it feels even more spiritual, more grounded, more sure.
Happy to be here, and I'm going to keep supporting this brother, and I'm looking for you all to support this brother, because the doc's for real.
It's been a long time. I told you it was coming. It's here, it's in your hands. Believe more in yourself.
Hey, remember when I said Ann McMillian sent in a document on Umar's behalf and that they were really close? Yeah, y'all about to find out exactly how close.
For all of you haters and you fake supporters, you have defamed this man. You have called him everything out the book. You didn't believe that he was going to get to school, and he hasn't. It's for our children. Stop with the rhetoric. Stop with the lies. You know who you are. I will call your names out.
Time will tell if the school happens. There's one more thing about it that needs attention, though. What the hell is he going to be teaching these kids? He'll be teaching them to be men, whatever that means. Incoming direct quote. Unapologetic alpha males. Garvey type, the Malcolm type, the Martin type. Uncompromising black men, because we need that, because we're losing that. Alpha males are not a real thing, especially in wolf packs. There's a few more things that Dr. Umar is simply wrong about, straight up. For example, just about everything he said publicly about ADHD. He went on News One Radio with Roland Martin, another controversial black figure. These people just interview each other all day, if you haven't noticed by now, and said, ADHD as a diagnosis came to us in 1980. Then it was called ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder. In 1987, the H for hyperactivity was added. So what's he getting at? His primary point is that the major pharmaceutical companies conspired to create these diagnoses, ADD and ADHD specifically, in order to sell more medicine to the population at large. False. PolitiFact states children were being prescribed a stimulant to treat attention disorders even before the term attention deficit disorder, or ADD, was coined in 1980. The New York Times ran an article in 1970 saying 5 to 10% of children in the Nebraska elementary school system were taking some kind of medication for their hyperactivity. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM, is the American Psychiatric Association's handbook that's used by medical professionals for diagnoses. It says attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is real. People diagnosed with ADHD show a persistent pattern of inattention and/or hyperactivity, impulsivity that interferes with functioning or development, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I might not be a doctor myself.
I make it a point, when at all possible, to not respond to individuals whose intellectual competence I consider to be far below my own.
But I think I'm leaning towards the CDC and APA's professional guidelines over unsubstantiated claims from someone who calls himself a prince. What else did he claim? 85% of boys diagnosed with ADHD don't have their father in their life.
Our boys don't need drugs. They need love. They don't need the doctor. They need their daddy. We don't have an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. What we have is an ain't no daddy at home disorder.
This is unproven. As far as we can tell, his 85% mark has no basis in evidence. Lastly, this claim that black boys are overdiagnosed as compared to other kids has no proof. It's tough to claim he's lying when the statements are as wide as that, but scientists and psychologists in the linked article are fairly confident that he's full of shit. You be the judge. The script is getting long.
I got something, I got you with you. The last thing that I won't give you with it.
We talked about a lot here. There were so many things to address. It was tough to take our foot off the gas. There's a lot more we could cover, such as his negative views on homosexuality and interracial marriage, his fake marriage to 2 women as a publicity stunt for his school.
To my 2 lovely queens, I thank the creator for the both of you.
Indeed, the first public event of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy takes place in less than 48 hours right here from 11 until 8. Come one, come all. Register. And if you hang around, you're going to see Dr. Umar get married. Not to 1 queen, but 2 queens. That's right. I'm getting married to 2 queens in a fashion show.
Hold up. Real quick, we are going to cover the homosexuality piece since it's pretty egregious Dr. Umar claims homosexuality is a mental illness that requires treatment.
Sexually confused.
While many of his supporters out there are definitely shrugging their shoulders at that, anyone with more than 0 queer friends will tell you that's a lie. There's no factual or academic basis for anyone to claim someone else's sexual orientation is a mental illness. And it just serves as one more example of a toxic alpha male mentality poisoning the well.
But I will have 2 queens.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So is polygamy more realistic?
I think we have to understand that monogamy is not natural to alpha males.
Those views lost him some speaking engagements here and there, but it's not like it'll stick. The man is not okay. And while we laugh at memes, he wants to indoctrinate a new generation of Black children and is leveraging his fame to sell tickets to every speaking appearance across the country. After going through all this info, checking out this money funnel of a website with the self-aggrandizing bio, and being forced to watch all these video clips, Naomi too, my takeaway is that he's not to be trusted with your money or your children. This is always how it starts, the promises, the lofty rhetoric. Dr. Umar has every telltale sign of a cult leader, including the charisma, intelligence, and consistent messaging required to bring people over to your cause. If you've been a supporter of his so far, or you were in the past, I'm not here to point fingers and mock you. Ask yourself, if it was your future on the line, would you trust this man to guide you? What about your child? I hope we come to the same conclusion, but if not, I still want to hear what y'all have to say. Y'all got the information now. Can't say I ain't tell you. Hey man, I appreciate y'all watching this. It's a large undertaking to do this much research, especially when it's a real person. And I'm aware of how controversial this man is and how much blowback this might get. We did our best to do the most comprehensive research we possibly could. And it gets harder every time, I will say, because we're trying to be more thorough every time. Really appreciate y'all supporting and sharing the video, commenting, liking, all that stuff. It really helps. Shout out to my numerous Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Y'all keep this going in a very, very real, tangible way. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the individual commenters who share messages of positivity, share encouragement to keep this going. Y'all are the real MVPs. It's hot, and I have a birthday party to go to. So I'll catch y'all later.
How can you criticize the building of an institution when you never built an institution?
Okay, and this is circular logic. Umar, you never built an institution.